Hi foodies, welcome back to Cook with Puneet, where vegetarian food is made easy. Today we'll be learning how to make MOOLI paranthe. Paranthe were a Sunday staple at my house growing up, and MOOLI paranthe were one of my favorites, so I'm going to share this recipe with you. So if you would like to follow along, please continue watching. For this recipe we'll need MOOLI. I used about 1 MOOLI. Atta, I'll also teach you how to make that. 2 to 3 green chilies. A small piece of ginger, Ajwain, one onion, red chili powder, salt, and oil. We'll start off with peeling the MOOLI, so I used half of one and a piece of leftover ones. We'll start off by peeling it, and then we'll wash it. Next, I'll take a bowl, put a cheesecloth in it, make sure your sink is clean, and I'll take a grater and I'll grate my MOOLI. Once we've shredded our MOOLI, I'm just gonna wrap up the cheesecloth and squeeze the water out. Next, I'm gonna take about 1.5 cups of atta, and I'm gonna add my MOOLI water in there. I'm using kankda atta, but you can use any atta. And we're just gonna massage the water in there. Then I'm gonna take regular water and just slowly start to add it and start to massage it into the atta. We wanna make sure that the water we add is not too hot or not too cold. It has to be room temperature. And we're forming the dough to knead it, so just do it little by little. Don't add too much water at once. You'll just end up with a lot more atta than you need and it'll just become watery. I laugh because I've done this before, and when I was learning, I added the water all together because I thought it would be easier, but it just made my life harder and the atta was a lot stickier. So I do not recommend. Just add it little by little, have some patience. So I formed a little bit of it. Whatever's left, the dry part, I added more water and I started to massage it in. I'm just squeezing it with my fingers and then add a little bit more and just continue this motion until it starts to become a little bit softer. And make sure you're cleaning up the dry atta with the dough. And then I start to knead the atta. So I just put my hand in a fist and I start to press on it in different places and just kind of stretch it out. And then I add a little bit more water, and be careful with adding a lot of water at this stage because it could ruin the whole thing. But just continue massaging it in and kneading it as you go. The more times you do this, the better it'll be when you actually start to make roti or the paranthe. Next, I'm just gonna take oil and just pour it over and just knead the oil in there. This will help our atta become softer, and I use avocado oil. And then we'll just form it into a ball, put our cheesecloth on top of it, and let it sit for about 15 to 20 minutes. And until then, we'll get all our other ingredients ready. So I'm gonna take 1 onion, peel it, wash it, and then cut it. And I took my 3 green chilies, I'm gonna wash that as well. And you want to make sure you cut your onions as small as possible. Personally, I like the taste of onions in my paranthe, so I cut them a little bit bigger, but if you're a beginner and you're just learning how to make paranthe, just cut your onions as small as possible. It'll be easier to roll out. And I did the same with my green chilies. I just usually take a bigger knife and chop it down even further. And again, adjust the spices according to your spice level. 3 works for our family. Maybe you might not be a green chili fan, so you can add 1 or 2. And then I'll take my ginger and do the same. I'll cut it into smaller pieces. Personally, I like the taste of ginger, so I cut it a little bit thicker, but if you want, you can cut it down even further. Some family members in my family don't like it as thick, so I cut it down for them. And then we'll go back to our atta and we'll start to knead it again. In Punjabi, they say, "Apa aate nu mukki dinne aa" or "gwande aa." And then I just form it into a ball and you got your atta ready. Next, we'll make the mixture. So in a fry pan, I added a little bit of oil in it. Next, I added Ajwain. We're just gonna let that cook for a little with ginger. So I added my ginger in. Next, I added my onion and we'll let those soften up. This is a game changer, sauteing your veggies before you, instead of eating them raw. It just tastes a lot better in my opinion, and that's why I do it. Even me and my mom do it differently. My mom only sautés up till this part, but she adds raw MOOLI in it. I like to saute my MOOLI just because it's easier for me to control when I roll it out, because the water in the MOOLI is drier. And then I'll add my green chilies. So if you're beginning, this is the easiest way to make MOOLI prantha. Next, I'll add about 1.5 spoons of red chili powder. Feel free to adjust it according to your taste, and I'll add 1.5 spoons of salt. Also adjust that according to your taste. If you're using white salt, you're gonna need a lot less than the one that I used. And then we'll just mix it and let it cook for a little bit, about 4 to 5 minutes. I always like to do a taste test of my mixture before I start to roll it out, just because I wanna see if like the spices are good. When you are having just the mixture by itself, it will be a little bit spicier than you would like it to be. At least that's how it should be, just because when you mix it with the atta, the spice levels come down, and then when you make your prantha, it might taste a little bland. Next, always clean your surface. Please, please, please. I am such a clean freak when it comes to food. And another trick that my mom taught me, who learned it from one of my mummies, so Rishbal Mummy, thank you, is to take a paper towel, fold it in half, and roll on top of that. And you'll see why, because sometimes the prantha gets stuck to the surface of where you're rolling it out. And if it's on the counter, it's very hard to save that prantha, but if it's on the paper towel, it's easier. Next, Noor, this one's for you. You're gonna take a little bit more atta for your peda than a regular roti, just because when we're rolling it out, we want it to be bigger and you want to make sure that the mixture doesn't come out of the atta. So I take a little bit more. I form it into the shape of a ball and I press it between my palms and I just roll it as tightly as I can, putting as much pressure without it being flat. And then I'll dip it into dry atta. And then we're gonna pan the peda, which is breaking the peda. And you're gonna just, I don't know how to explain it, but we're gonna start to stretch our peda out. But make sure that the middle part is heavier than the outsides. Some people, they put their thumb into the middle part and then start to stretch it out. And how you'll stretch it out is just put your fingers and your thumb and then take the other hand and kind of press it and move it into circular motion so it's starting to become bigger. And the reason why I keep the middle part thicker is when you add the mixture, or even when you're rolling a regular roti, it becomes rounder and it's easier to roll rather than it being all completely flat. That's just personally how I do it. Next, I'm gonna take my mixture, and typically our parents tell us, okay, make sure the mixture is completely cold before you start to put it in. I've noticed it doesn't really make a difference, but if you're finding it a little bit difficult to roll it out, just wait for the mixture to get cold. Next, I'm gonna start to close my pera again, and we're just gonna make sure that it's completely closed. I didn't really do a good job on this pera, but it's okay. And then I'm just gonna kind of make as circular as I can get it, just because it'll roll out into a circle. So this is our base, we've done it. I'm gonna dip it into dry flour again, and then I'm gonna place it onto our paper towel, and I'm gonna lightly roll it with my rolling pin. Don't put too much pressure, roll as light as you can. And then if you start to see that it's not really rolling, dip it into flour again, dry flour, and roll it again. And roll it gently. Do not put a lot of pressure because then it'll be sticking onto your velna. And see, this is why it's easier to just have a paper towel, so then you can just turn your roti around or prantha around. And we're gonna roll it to the size we want it to be. So now that I've run out of space, I'm just gonna open up my paper towel and move it to the middle and roll it out even further. And then I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna put it onto our tava. And we're gonna do the same thing again. Our moms traditionally do it differently. I cannot for the life of me roll a pera like they do. And so we're gonna take another pera, tightly make a ball. And then stretch it out again. And remember to keep the middle part a little bit thicker. And we'll flip our other prantha while we do this. And we'll take a bit of our mixture. And we'll start to close in our pera again. And you'll see this time I did a better job, so I brought it up as much as I could, and then we closed it, and we'll make it round. Just push everything in, pat it down, make sure everything's closed up. And dip it into our dry flour. Just check on the other prantha on the stove or the tava, and we'll gently roll it out. Dip it again. And continue rolling. I just added some dry flour where the mixture is starting to open. See, this is what I mean when sometimes, you know, if I had done that just on the stove, on the counter, it would have stuck and I would have lost my prantha, but here I was able to fix it. And we'll just butter up our ready prantha. I'm just gonna put that on the side. And then we'll continue rolling this one. Just roll it as big as you can or you want. I'm used to eating really big pranthe, but my in-laws eat them very small, so I just kind of make it according to their size and my size. I just kind of combine it. And then we just take it, flip it on our hands, and put it on the tava again. One last time, I'll show you how to make a pera. This one's for you, newer. In the faster version. And then we'll just add our mixture in. Close our pera. And then we'll dip it into dry flour again and just roll it out as much as you can, or according to whatever size you like. And our MOOLI prantha are ready to eat. So have some dahi, put some makhni on it, or ajat. I'm just having them plain today, and they're ready to enjoy. So if you liked today's video, please give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to share this with all your friends. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for watching.